Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 4 of the diesel engine assembly for 5J1113. What we got on the bench today is piston and rod assemblies. These are right out of 1113's old engine. If you remember back to the disassembly process, a couple of these were pretty well stuck in their bores. Got them freed up, managed to salvage them. Everything here is in excellent condition wear-wise, but they still have some cleaning, some reconditioning that needs to be done. The only thing I've really done to them is on number 2, number 3, and number 4. I've gotten the old stuck rings peeled off of them, managed to salvage everything up to this point. And these rings, honestly, wear-wise, do not look bad at all. I can't believe that there was very many hours on those things. And as usual, anything that's good that I can salvage from these I'm going to keep, because as I just found out, we have some new parts sitting over there, but as I just found out, even finding new rings for these D3400s is getting pretty tough. So we are rapidly approaching a day where it's going to be next to impossible to find those things. So we'll see if we can salvage the rest of them. Number 1 piston's the only one that still has rings on. This is the one that was stuck the hardest, and you can see they're pretty well flush with the outside of the piston. They're stuck pretty good, but we'll get some video of trying to salvage those. If I can get all those peeled off, I'll have a complete lightly used set for my someday stockpile. Now, speaking of the new parts that I did find, I've got a lot of different packages here on the bench, but I can tell you from looking at the pistons that came out of 1113 that she's been rebuilt at least once in her past life. So see if I can show you guys what's going on here. Here is the connecting rod and piston group for serial numbers 5J1 to 1622. So this is the range that 1113 would have been in. And this one had 4 compression rings and 2 oil controls. So we have 4 of the 5B907 compression rings, and it does not look like we had a cast iron or steel top ring land. It looks like just a single one-piece aluminum piston. And then we had 2 of the 5B903 oil controls. So we had 6 rings altogether on those pistons. Trouble is, what I took out of 1113 only has 3 compression rings and 2 oil controls. So we go to the next newer series parts book. Here's a 5J3501 to 10561, which is basically end of production for the J series. And you can see the only piston and connecting rod group listed is exactly what came out of 1113. We have a cast iron top ring land, which is what we have right in there. That's the dreaded multi-piece screw together pinned on top piston. I did a video on one of these. I took one of these apart here a couple months ago that was ready to fail, so we could see how it was constructed. If you didn't see that, link is in the description below. So that's the piston that's in 1113. So at one point in its life, it's been updated with the more current style, and that one utilized a single 5B906 top ring and then 2 6B2171 compression rings, and then another 2 6B2133 oil controls. I don't know if I bored you guys yet with all that, but I'm trying to tell you the whole story to let you know what I ended up having to do to find rings. Now, ever since I can remember, when the Caterpillar guys on the forums and everybody that I know and everything has been rebuilding these D3400s and the early D2s, whenever they've needed piston rings, they've went through Hastings Piston Ring Company. They've always had a really good kit that gives you all the rings you could need for either style piston, and it all comes in one box, and boom, you're done. It's a quality ring setup, it's good parts, good pieces, and you're on your merry way. So I wasn't too worried about finding rings until the other day. It was about 2 weeks ago. I called up Hastings, and their official stance, their official position with the old D3400 piston ring kits is discontinued and no longer available, and I couldn't find any left anywhere in their system. So, plan B, I talked to Ziegler Cat. I rang them up and gave them the old 6B2133 oil control ring number, and those guys up there at Ziegler in Duluth are really good about helping me with this old stuff. They crossed it and superseded it, came up with the modern 3F5330, I shouldn't say modern, I should say current 3F5330 part number for the oil controls. Brand new, guaranteed to fit. They were about $16 a ring. Cat's kind of high on rings, but they had them. I said order them up, get them coming. So 8 new oil control rings right there. The compression rings were a little bit different story. So I phoned up Floor and Tractor Parts, talked to my buddy Dana there, great guy. He'll do all the digging for you, do the looking. I said, Dana, I'm looking for 4 of those 5B906 top rings and 8 of those 6B2171 second and third rings. He says, no problem, I can help you out. So a few days later, here we go. He sends me 8 of the brand new 5B2171s. They are new old stock cat. They did not come with the factory packaging, but he assured me that they are high quality and new. And we got 4 of the 5B906 top rings and the vintage box, genuine Caterpillar part. Just loving it again. Carefully get these out of the package for you guys. We'll look at this in a bit. And I was overjoyed again to find that once we peel the wax paper back, all 4 are stacked up in their little piece of cosmoline heaven in there. Love it. I just love it. Good stuff, good stuff. And they come with the original instructions from the Caterpillar Tractor Company still in the box, giving you your basically time intervals for running in an engine with brand new rings, for seating those rings, breaking it in. This is the same process that's in the old overhaul manual, the old serviceman's reference manual, but period 1, 1 hour, operate the engine at idle with throttle halfway between the slow speed idle and full speed positions. Period 2, hour and a half, operate the tractor in 4th gear without load but with throttle wide open. Period 3, an additional hour and a half, operate the tractor at work approximating 1/4 maximum load. And then period 4, for 2 more hours, operate the tractor on work approximating 1/2 to 3/4 maximum load, and only where it is absolutely impossible to adhere to these periods should they be varied. Where certain periods are impractical, increase the length of other periods to accumulate at least 6 hours before operating on normal load. I love it. I might even frame that and put it on the wall. That's right from back in the day. That's just another little gem from the past. Oh, and before I forget, these 5B906 top rings were $10 a piece from Florin. These 6B2171 second and third rings were $8 a piece. So price is not too horrible there. So, being that Hastings is kind of out of the game for these D3400s anymore, I was able to piecemeal together a brand new set between brand new cat and new old stock from Florin. Both those outlets have been great for helping me find parts for these old things, and thanks guys. And Dana, if you're watching, thanks buddy, I appreciate you digging for all these old new old stock kits for me. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's see if we can peel those stuck rings off of #1 piston. Okay guys, got the soft jaws loaded on the vise ready to go, and what I've been doing is just taking this soft bristled brush and just kind of getting the top layer of rust and corrosion off of #1 piston here. And I think now that I've got some of that stuff cleared away, the top ring may already be broken. Right where we kind of overlap here, I don't know if you can see, if I get the light just right, we have kind of a vertical line right there. I'm thinking that little leg of the ring is broken already, like that's a crack, but we'll see when we start freeing it up. You know, these things have been through some adversity and you can't always save everything. But we'll get this loaded in the vise and we'll just clamp right down to the rod with those soft jaws. The first step, of course, is just to start getting some penetrating oil on there. Oil control rings usually free up a lot easier because you can actually get that stuff inside of them. When the compressions are this stuck, it can take some working. And I think I'm going to begin with the 2 oil control rings. Like I said earlier, they're usually the ones that loosen up the easiest. The top rings have been giving me the most trouble, but they are the only ones that are in another steel ringland. These other 2 in the aluminum have not been bad. But I'll take this really small screwdriver and just start opening the gap. Just start initiating a little bit of movement. Once you get it moving, you've pretty much got the battle won. Start this one here, gently work that gap. That one's a little bit tighter. Give it another little spray here. And worst case scenario, I've actually put pistons with stuck rings into a pan of water and boiled it before. That temperature and coefficient of expansion usually loosens those rings pretty good. But I don't really want to put these multi-piece pistons through that kind of a kind of an adventure. Getting a lot of movement on this bottom oil control ring. Close the gap, start working the other side. Made it all the way around, and I got the bottom oil ring. There we go. That one is free. That's a good deal. Didn't break it. You see all of this rusty stuff that's in there. And you hear that grit grinding around in there. That's why this is my own personal preference on an engine that's been stuck. I never ever run it after I've been able to free it up without taking it apart and cleaning all of this stuff. I take it right down, get all the rings out, make sure nothing's broke, make sure that they're clean. Granted, I know there's some guys that have got them free and put some gas to them, and then they've spun up and ran, and all is well. They might have smoked for a little bit, but eventually the ring's freed up. That's all well and good. Personally, it's just my deal. I don't do that, and I won't, because I'm fussy. You guys, I'm kind of a pain. You guys probably know that by now, but I just won't make the cylinders eat all of this nasty rusty stuff. And if you did end up with a cracked ring in there, it's just going to start wearing your groove, and you're going to end up with what I call ant farm pistons with the big holes that are worn in them and the gouges. And I just would rather avoid all that and just tear it all down, get all this stuff freed up, get it all clean, new rings if necessary, put it back together. Anyway, that's my spiel. We carry on. All right, it's been a few minutes and there's been some progress. As you know, we had the bottom ring freed up. We've since got the top ring freed up. Listen, oh my gosh, that's why I just can't run an engine knowing the grit like that is in there. But I found that the top ring is indeed broken. That little vertical line that I saw was a crack, and that little peg was broken off of it. So our perfect streak has come to an end. But we have the oil ring right here that started to move. It's moving around the gap. This compression ring right here is starting to loosen up. The gap is widening, and I thought I had this one loosening up. Turns out that's not the ring gap. That's a crack. The ring gap's over here on the other side. So we've already got 2 of our 5 rings broken on this piston. So we'll just get the top ring out of here. If it's not too full of rust for my ring expander to work. Oh, there we go. Got that out. And you can see where it should have a corresponding leg with a groove like that on this side. That's the piece that's broken. So that one's written off. At this point, I might as well just roach this one out of here too. It's already broken, so we're just about salvaging the piston now. Kind of disappointing. I don't have a complete used ring set, but we made the effort and we save what we can save, right? Main priority is about saving all the pistons. So again, we carry on. Now for the after action report. I got all the rings off in number 1 piston, and it looks just as good as the others wear-wise, but the old rings suffered quite a bit on this one. The lower oil control came through just fine. Upper oil control, you can see, broke. So that one's a write-off. The lowermost compression ring is fine. The middle compression ring, again, you saw during the removal process, had a crack. That came out in 2 pieces. And this top compression ring has that little notch leg broken off where it needs to interface with the other one. So only 2 of the 5 rings off this one were good. Is what it is. We fought the good fight and we saved what we could save. Fortunately, we're not totally without hope, because I was able to piece together a whole new set of rings, cat rings for this. Granted, some are 70 years old, some are a lot newer, but we have a complete set for these pistons. And we've learned in this episode that old 1113 had been rebuilt at one point in its life, because it has the newer style multi-piece pistons with that steel top ringland that were put into production all the way through the end of the J series tractors. So basically, I'm running these pistons. They don't scare me at all. Granted, they have a tendency for coming apart. All 4 of these look really good, and because new pistons are just not available anywhere anymore, these things right now are as close to being worth their weight in gold as they're ever going to be. So I'm going to put these back in with some new rings. Not going to bother me one bit. So next episode, I'll be busting these things apart, cleaning everything up, getting it ready to start sizing new rings in the cylinders, checking the gaps, and then start assembling them to all these piston and rod assemblies. So I thank you guys for sticking it out with me through all this boring ring stuff and all these part numbers and design changes and things like that, but it's all part of the process. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hope to see you back again.